Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to start with a story, a human story, about a woman the courts only call X.
Right.
She's 25 years old, she's unmarried, and she's 22 weeks pregnant. And then her partner just abandons her.
Leaving her in an impossible situation.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the social stigma, but also just complete financial instability.
Exactly. So she seeks an abortion, but the high court denies her. And the reason is, well, kind of shocking. The law, the MTP Act, was written in a way that just didn't include her. It only explicitly listed, married women, divorcees, or widows for this kind of situation.
And that pain, that moment of being told your rights depend on a marriage certificate, that's really the core of our deep dive today.
So what's our mission here?
We're going to look at how the Supreme Court completely turned this around. They used two really powerful legal ideas to do it, something called purposive interpretation, and, of course, the right to equality, which is Article 14.
So let's talk about that first step. The High Court's rejection, they used a literal interpretation, right?
Exactly. A literal one. They looked at Rule 3B of the Act, saw the list of category, survivors of assault, minors, widows, divorcees, and said, well, X isn't on the list.
She didn't tick a box.
She didn't tick a box. The court basically said, our hands are tied. The text is the text.
But the Supreme Court, they saw it completely differently.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
They threw that literal approach out. They used a purposive interpretation. And really, if you want to break it down for everyone listening,
Yeah, please.
a literal court asks, what do the words say? But a purposive court asks, what was this law trying to do?
What was the goal?
The goal, the whole purpose of the MTP Act is to help women to ensure their safety and health. And the Supreme Court argued that getting trapped by old-fashioned literal wording defeats that entire purpose.
But I have to ask, isn't there a risk there? If judges can just look at the spirit of the law instead of the exact words, couldn't that lead to, overreach?
That is such an important question. And the court grounded its reasoning directly in the Constitution to avoid that. Once they said the purpose was to help women, they immediately connected it to Article 14, the right to equality. They said, look, you cannot give a married woman a right to medical care and deny that same right to an unmarried woman.
Just based on her marital status?
Yes, that is textbook discrimination. It's unconstitutional.
So how did they draw the parallel? I mean, being abandoned by a partner isn't technically a divorce.
They said the law can't be based on narrow patriarchal principles. They argued that a massive change in material circumstances, like being abandoned and left financially destitute, is strictly comparable to a divorce.
Yeah.
In both cases, the foundation of your life has just collapsed. The stability you needed is gone. And your right to decide what happens to your body can't depend on whether you have a marriage certificate. That also brings in Article 21, the right to life and liberty.
And on top of that, they also expanded what counts as a reason for termination. They really widened the definition of mental health.
Absolutely. And this is a huge takeaway for you. The court clarified that mental health isn't just about, a diagnosed clinical illness. It's about your whole world, your social and economic environment.
So the stress of the situation itself is a medical reason.
Precisely. If an unwanted pregnancy is going to cause you grave trauma because of social stigma or financial ruin, as it was for X, that is an injury to your mental health under the Act. Social trauma is a form of medical injury.
Okay, let's slow down for a second because we have to talk about the part of this ruling that made headlines everywhere, the observation on marital rape.
Yes, this was the bombshell. It's a very careful distinction, but a powerful one.
Right.
The court said that for the purposes of the MTP Act, so we're just talking about medical law here, not criminal law,
Right.
the definition of rape has to include marital rape.
So what does that mean in practice? For a married woman who's pregnant from non-consensual sex with her husband?
It means she now clearly falls into the survivors of sexual assault category. She can access a termination up to 24 weeks. And, crucially, she does not need to file an FIR.
No police report.
No police report. The decision rests with her and her doctor. It shifts the focus from criminal proof entirely over to her health and her bodily autonomy.
So if we were to sum it all up, what are the key takeaways from this judgment?
Well, first, unmarried women now have equal access. A relationship breaking down is a valid reason for abortion up to 24 weeks, just like divorce. And second, and this is the big one, this ruling firmly establishes that reproductive autonomy is a fundamental part of Article 21, the right to life and personal liberty.
Your right to decide your own future.
Exactly. And that overrides any outdated, narrow-minded rules.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to chew on. By separating rape in a medical context from rape in a criminal one, the Supreme Court created a clear legal distinction. So the question is this landmark move signal that it's only a matter of time before the criminal law on marital rape also has to evolve? The court has drawn a map. Now we'll see if society follows.